Hello and welcome to the Fulhamish Quick Take after Crystal Palace have beaten Fulham 2-0. It's so painful. I really was hoping this wasn't going to be the result and this was going to be a really happy quick take. We're here at Craft Beer Co. What have you got, Dan?
I've got a Flensburger. It's my go-to every time. I love it.
Very nice. I've got a Pilsner, also very lovely. Last time I accidentally went for the alcohol-free. Annoyingly was really nice, but I'm back alcohol now. How are you feeling, Dan?
Frustrated, but also fairly at peace with it, you know. I actually just thought we got beaten by the better team, and sometimes you have to hold your hands up. And it's really frustrating because you look at your own team's performance and you think, we were really not good. And it's so frustrating because you think, well, last week we played the best football we've played all season. We've had a week's rest. We've had the exact same team go out, and it just didn't happen. And I thought, after about 15-20 minutes, I thought, looking all right here. I thought we'd found a way to get in behind Palace. We were getting in between their wing backs and their centre backs. It was looking good. And then the wheels came off. I think Palace settled. We started to play into their hands, and I think you've got to apportion some blame to Fulham and give credit to Palace because they deserve to win.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it is so frustrating because Palace are below us in the table. I don't know what it is about us, but we always go for the glamorous wins. And this one could have been a nice, easy run over. I mean, having said that though, Palace's position in the table maybe isn't to be expected. From actually the class of their midfield, they completely overran us today. Why do you think Palace are where they are in the table? Why did we struggle against them today in particular?
I think Palace are where they are because they had a slow start, they had injuries, and I do think if they had been at full quota with playing this football, they would be higher in the league. So I think you're right, they're in a false position. I still think over the course of the season we deserve to be above them because we have overall been better, but they aren't as... even their position in the table isn't even that bad, but they're not as low down as they should be, probably. They're lower down than they should be. But today, I thought we expected to struggle against Forest for these reasons, where they play with five at the back. They've got wing backs that can nullify our wide threat. So, you know, Anthony Robinson, Timothy Castagna, not really getting any joy. And they just executed what Forest were expected to do way better than Forest did. And we just didn't cope. I thought Daniel Munoz today, at right wing back for Palace, was exceptional. And he was really doing my head in because he was so good. It was so frustrating. It's the first player I've seen this season challenge Anthony Robinson going both ways. Yeah. Anthony Robinson had to put in a serious shift today, and it didn't come off because Munoz just didn't let him have any time or space, either defensively or attackingly. You know, he was pressing him up the pitch when we had it in our own third, and he was relentless when we had it in their third. I thought he was superb. He killed our threat down that left-hand side. And then I thought Big Jean-Philippe was pretty good.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Big Jean-Philippe caused us a lot of problems, and we didn't cope with it. He was a bit of a bully. I thought, by and large, in the first half we were okay defensively. Second half, we just almost seemed like we gave up. Yeah. We tried to change it up and obviously we had to take Smith Rowe off because of the injury, but we also brought Kearney on alongside Pereira. Suddenly it was an incredibly attacking midfield. Sasha Lukic basically left on his own, and we just played right into Palace's hands. That second half could have been a lot uglier. I think 2-0 in the end, we've sort of got away with it because we've played 98 minutes of football today and we didn't have a shot on target, and we didn't look like having a shot on target.
No.
And so, credit to Palace, but we need to fix up before Tuesday because it's a tight turnaround.
The other difference between this game against Palace and last weekend against Forest was Traore was kept incredibly quiet. And I know this is like we're gushing about Palace, but they really actually did deserve the win today. The other person I thought, in addition to Mateta, for being amazing from Palace was Tyreek Mitchell. He kept Traore so quiet, which Nico Williams completely wasn't able to do last week. And I think what we expected Forest to do to us last week was exactly what they didn't do, but Palace did do.
Yeah.
We started the game off today, low intensity, not the same as Forest. With Forest, we were pushing it out to the wings and Traore, and he was able to put in those crosses perfectly every single time. And today, we couldn't do it because Tyreek kept him so quiet, and him and Gahey pinched him, so he couldn't actually get to the point where he could show off the pace that he's so good at, and could never pull off any crosses, which he was able to do against Forest. Why do you think that Forest was so different? Why do we think we got it so wrong?
This is so. I think that there's the aspect now. I think we've covered it. How good Palace were and how they nullified us. I think we have to then be really honest. And there were just so many individual bad performances today. There were so many players who just weren't at it, and it was just little things, little 5-yard passes, just giving the ball away, players running down blind alleys. And I think this is where they pressed us well. We didn't help ourselves by the fact that when a player gets pressed, instead of releasing the ball quickly, they go down a tunnel of 3 Palace players and inevitably lose the ball. I think that there's like a collective responsibility behind that performance today. I don't think anyone stood out, and I don't think anyone necessarily had a considerably worse game than anyone else. It was just a flat 4 out of 10 performance pretty much all round, and that's really disappointing. And I think the other thing that really bothered me today, sorry, I'm just ranting, was
I love it.
was yes. And until we watch it back, I won't 100% know. Yes, there were decisions in that first half that I was really adamant the referee got wrong. Yeah. And he wasn't controlling the game well. But we just, Fulham players lost their heads. We just completely lost it in that moment. And instead of focusing on, maybe we've got some adversity here that we have to overcome, things aren't going our way, let's do it ourselves, we just sort of started flailing and whinging, and we lost all fluency. And Calvin, I love Calvin, but today it seemed like something just twigged in him, and he was, the chips were down, he was angry, and instead of dragging himself up and forcing us through that game, players just sort of folded. And I think that the defending for that second goal really sums it up. It was so easy. I think you will struggle to see a team score such an easy goal in terms of couple of passes through the middle of you, Munoz picks it up in the box, and the piece of skill that he does get to get past Calvin Bassey is just to drop a shoulder one way and shift onto his right foot, which he was always going to do, and he just sells Calvin completely. I think that the mentality today was so wrong, and instead of our focus being on how do we win this game of football, we just started complaining and shouting at each other, shouting at the referee, and you can allow the fans are one thing, we can abuse the referee, we can and use that to sort of try and inspire some sort of reaction. The players have got to focus on playing football, and they just didn't.
Yeah, with Calvin Bassey, he got caught slacking right at the start by Mateta, and it was after that basically that he lost his head. I do remember that, and also towards the end was where you really began to see it. Him and Robinson had to cool it down a little bit, where he went over to Rob Jones and had a bit of a pop at him. I mean, let's bring Rob Jones into it a little bit, because this is the quick take, so this is obviously straight after the game, and he is on everyone's mind, I would say, for the first half. Second half, I don't think he really impacted as much.
The second half wasn't a contest, I think that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. The second half was a walkover, and so the referee didn't really have much to do because it was so one-sided. The first half, yeah. Please continue, because I think I'm on board with what you're going to say, I assume.
Well, what I was going to say was more the first goal comes at peak Rob Jones era, and going into the game, I'm sorry, I'm going to drop you in it, Dad, but you said that he was a favourite, if you can have a favourite, of referees, because he lets the flow of the game go. And today, well, that didn't happen at all. And Will Hughes was, I think he did well today, but his was particularly frustrating, especially his foul on Bassey, which just seemed to go, and that was just before the first goal. I mean, yeah, talk to me about Rob Jones and that annoying Anderson own goal.
Yeah, it felt like there was a chain of 3 or 4 from where I'm stood, blatant fouls. Yeah. I think the Emil Smith-Rowe one is the first one, and that was baffling because everyone stopped playing. We're through, by the way. We're away. We've got Smith-Rowe, Jimenez and Iwobi running at 3 Palace defenders. It's 3-on-3. We've caught the ball high up, perfect execution of a plan. He gets caught seemingly quite high as well by the way he went down. Everyone stops and suddenly the referee waves play on, and that's the first one, and I think that starts to build. I think there's a foul that comes after that on Anthony Robinson, which I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. To me, it happened behind the pissing pillar in the Hammersmith end, so I didn't see it. But people were angry at that. But I think it starts to like escalate, and every decision that goes against you, the fans get more and more angry. The Bassey one, to me, I think it's a foul. I also think it was an example of a Fulham player with the opportunity to play out of trouble, turning back into danger. Okay. Yeah. There was space out left, and instead of going there, he turns back inside. He's got 3 Palace players around him. He looks like he was fouled, and the goal does come fairly directly from that, which obviously then all the fans feel it. You know, they come down the end, corner, another corner, goal. And we didn't defend any of their set pieces well today, which I think was another disappointment. I just, whilst it didn't help us, that first half was really starting to dwindle, and Palace were getting really on top of us. And so whilst I was very angry at the refereeing, I was also it felt inevitable that they were going to score, and I don't think we can apportion too much of the blame. It's not helped us. You know, but if we don't concede then, I think we were on the road to conceding soon. And I'm sure Palace fans will be having a nice little giggle, won't they, about Lacroix winning a header that then goes in off Anderson for an own goal. There was a lot of talking points about who's got the best end of this deal. That's not helped our claim. It's not helped. Overall, I actually thought Yo was fairly okay. Yeah, right.
He was forced to put in a lot of quite narrow balls, which like some ended all right, but most of them didn't, just because we didn't have really any other outlet. So I think he probably did as best as he could. Yeah,
I thought we saw the return of some of those nice diagonals.
Yeah,
I thought there was more of them today, and he found Anthony Robinson a few times. We did nothing with them, but it helped us. It gave us that extra dimension back that we've been looking for. But yeah, it's just we've got to defend those set pieces better. They were smart. They crowded Leno. They made it messy. As long in that situation, as long as you put a ball in with pace into a good area, you've got a chance. And they did that, and they did it a few times. We probably should have conceded in the second half from a set piece as well. I think it's down the other end, but I think Leno makes a really good save. This is a big week. This is a really big week in our season, and it's got to go behind us, because Wolves now is important. If anything, I think it weirdly helps us that they beat Bournemouth today, because it takes a little bit of the sting out of our game against them on Tuesday, because they're right in amongst it, Wolves. They're in trouble, but this weekend Leicester got spanked.
Yeah.
Ipswich have been spanked, and Wolves have then, huge win for them away at Bournemouth, have pulled now I think 5 points clear of that relegation zone. Hopefully takes a little bit of the sting out of that game. Now we've got to go there and do something, because I think this is, I presume we're going to come on to it about what does this mean for the rest of Fulham season. Yeah. It just means we've got to pick up a win elsewhere that we maybe weren't expecting to.
Yeah.
You know?
Because I actually saw those results slightly differently, because I think it more just concluded who the 3 are that are going to go down, unfortunately. Like the Ipswich Wolves debate probably will still rattle on for a bit, but I think it's coming to its end. Unfortunately, because I would have loved to have seen Ipswich survive that, but I just saw that more as that's happening at the bottom of the table. Okay, it might take the sting out because Wolves feel slightly less pressure, but equally, Brighton. Okay, Bournemouth lost, but you've got Villa and Chelsea this evening. There will be points out of that, and they're very close to us. Newcastle Forest. And those were this was an opportunity for us this weekend to get 3 points, which we should get, it was easy enough to get. We didn't capitalise on it, and now we find ourselves in a situation where we flirted with Europe again, but it's gone. And I think I find that the most frustrating, is this was a perfect opportunity. Wolves away from home, okay, we've been all right on the road, or we have been good on the road, but it's still a tough one on a Tuesday night. We then have United in the cup. That's a whole different conversation, because I've got a ticket for that, and I'm feeling less happy about that journey now. But then you got Brighton away. It's quite hard now. Are we out of the European contention, or are you feeling still that there's a bit of hope there?
We're not.
Yeah.
And it just, as I said, it just puts pressure on other games now. And this was I worked out, I think Fulham need 5 or 6 wins to be really in that conversation at the end of the season. If you get to 60 points, you've got a really good chance of finishing in the top 8. This was one of those games that you would earmark as one of those 6 wins, and it's not been. And now it puts pressure on other games now. And that's got to be our focus. We know that we can be good enough, but we've just got to not be so up and down, I think. And that goes for us as fans and the team as well, because we were so up last week of such a fantastic win. It felt like by half-time all of that energy had been sucked out of us. The players looked like they'd given up with 10 minutes to go. Fans had given up, quite rightly, with 10 minutes to go, because we were going nowhere. I don't think it's conversation over. And I think the flip side is, whilst this was a good opportunity this weekend with teams around us playing each other, teams around us dropping points, we haven't lost ground on the flip side of that. We could have gained ground, or we could have gone away from teams, but at least it keeps us in the conversation by the fact that those results have happened or are guaranteed to be happened. Someone is going to drop points around us this evening and tomorrow. So there's at least that benefit. And as I said, big week. You know, you can fix it against Wolves. You can fix it by going and winning at Old Trafford. If we're doing this in a couple of weeks' time, and we've come out of the Wolves game having lost, and we've come out of the United game having lost, I will have different opinions, I can promise you that. But right now, blip, winning 3 games in a row in the Premier League isn't easy. We haven't done it all season. We failed to do it again. Start again.
Yeah, it is still there, but equally, we could have made this 3 league wins on the trot. Wolves would have made it a lovely 4. Like, I think I do find that more frustrating. And also, it's the Robin Hood thing that I just find so annoying. It's like every time you think you see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, in that we've had a lovely result against Newcastle, we've had a lovely result against Forest, and in the words of Big Ange, that light is an oncoming train. It's like, and he was talking about injuries, which actually we probably should discuss, but it's actually these Robin Hood narrative continuing. It seems like another opportunity missed, but yeah, anyway, injuries, ESR, gone off. Well, that was a whole mess of, does he go off? Is he always come back on, always down, always off again? Oh, okay, we're 2-0 down now. It's just like, how much can you put fault at Silva's door? I mean, I'm not sure it's still a bit messy anyway, but does Silva take a little bit of blame for that, for management? We
ultimately got away with it, right? Because that was the goal that chalked off. But I do actually apportion blame here, because Smith Rowe was down for a while and it didn't look good, and I think he knew quite quickly it wasn't good by the way he signalled to the bench. He's down for what, 2, maybe 3 minutes? Why is Andreas Pereira still stood by the corner flag? And I don't think that's Pereira's fault, absolutely not. And there'll be people, I'm sure, who say, no, that is coaching, right? That is the management. In that moment, you see your players down. Obviously, you want to hope that he's okay and stays on. But if he's not, get your sub over, get him in his kit and ready to come on the pitch.
It is obvious as well, because you can see Pereira on the sideline going, when am I coming on? You can see him looking up, and the decision isn't made. Equally, you could say that Silva's, because he then does eventually take on Tom Kearney as well, so you can say that he's maybe thinking about it slightly more to make a more educated decision to change. But he does have warning that ESR is going to be going off.
He does. I don't know why we waited. I didn't like that substitution in general, that double sub. I don't think it worked. I know Sanderberg's on a yellow card, but without him, that midfield doesn't work. It hasn't worked most of the season without him in there.
He didn't have an amazing game today.
He didn't. But suddenly, when you've got a midfield 3 of Lukic, Pereira and Kearney, I mean, Eberechi must have been buzzing, because he's got so much time and space in the middle of the pitch, and he's superb. He's a really good footballer, and you give him the ball on the halfway line with no one in front of him apart from Anderson and Bassi, he's going to be pretty excited, and he was going to exploit that, and they did. So I didn't like that, and then obviously Kearney comes off as well, and this is the worst thing that could happen. Is not only have we lost, we might lose 2 players for a period of time.
Unfortunately, we lost the last 5 minutes of that quick take audio, which probably wasn't a bad thing because we were going on for 25 minutes. So it really wasn't much of a quick take. But we did miss the audio, which was there to let you know that we have another Fulhamish live coming up. It will be after the Spurs game. So it'll be the 16th of March, Sunday the 16th of March. Kickoff is at 1:30. So the live show will be about 4:30 or 5, and it will be at the Half Moon Putney. I'll put a link to the tickets below. Please come. October was really fun, despite it being after Villa. Yeah, go and grab your tickets, and thank you for listening to the Quick Take.